Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. So glad to see you here today. I have a special triple candle review for you today, and they are a compare and contrast, which I really kind of like. I have, you're welcome, taken one for the team and burned three tomato vine candles for you in the last few weeks, and it took me a long time. But rather than do a compare and contrast from like long memory, I thought it was best, since I had them all on hand, to go ahead and burn them all together so that I could better and more easily compare them. So I have 3 tomato vine candles, which I thought was very appropriate for May. Hold on. Okay. I wore red too. I wore tomato red. 3 candles, one of which is brand new, and 2 of which have been around for a little bit, and they are all from 3 different companies. So probably the candle company that will be most familiar to you is Village Candle, which is this right here. It is Tomato Basil, and this is a brand new candle for Village Candle. It came out like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, something like that. In their like spring collection, they had a lot of different herbs and botanicals, and actually a lot of companies have done that, especially Bath and Body Works has had a ton of botanicals lately, although not a tomato candle. I do feel as though probably Bath and Body Works should do a few more of those like vegetable kind of candles. I think that would be really good. Although Ken from Candle Channel does say that Champagne from Henry Bendel, which is a candle that I sent to him actually, to him smells like Tomato Vine from Bath and Body Works, which was a candle that came out a while ago at Bath and Body Works, and I don't know if it's made an appearance for a bit, and I don't really know all the reasons for that, but Bath and Body Works really ought to bring that back out because it's kind of having a moment right now. These more botanical herby candles, and especially tomato candles, over the last few years have been really hyped, I think. And so it's kind of surprising actually that Bath and Body Works has not pulled that one back out. I've never smelled it, so I can't speak to it, but maybe some of you have, and I want to encourage you to talk to me in the comments down below. So, Village Candle Tomato Basil, this is the one that is hot off the press, and I did buy this from Stonewall Kitchen, and I had to pay a pretty penny in terms of shipping, but I got it at a 20% off discount. So, and that was, I can't remember when it was. I don't think Stonewall did anything over Memorial Day. I feel as though like a year ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, Stonewall Kitchen did a lot of promotions, and they haven't for a bit, and I'm not sure all the reasons for that. Then I have another candle, and this one is from Anthropologie actually, and it's just called Tomato Vine right here. And they say that this candle, and it doesn't even say it on the label, but on the website it was like, what is this subsidiary candle division called? It's like Hearth and something or other, you know, real hipster sounding, but I think it is poured by Anthropologie. It says made in Vietnam. So this is not like Voluspa or Illume or some other candle company. I think it's like Anthropologie's proprietary company. It's just called Tomato Vine, hand poured. On the website it said beeswax blend, but on the label it says coconut blend. So I don't really know about that. Every spring this has come out at Anthropologie over the last like 3 or 4 years. Weirdly, it did not come out this year. And I even noticed that there were a couple people online who were like, where are the tomato candles? Because it actually comes out in a mini collection of various other ones, one of which is Green Market. I have Green Market. I love Green Market. I love it, love it, love it. That one always comes out with this one. And then there's a rosemary baguette, and there's like a lemon sriracha, I think. Anyway, There's like a whole little mini collection, and they come out in these ceramic jars with the wood and the like little leather thing here. And anyway, they've been coming out for 3 or 4 years. Weirdly, they did not come out this year, but from talking to the Anthropologie folks, they sell out very quickly. Last year, and especially Tomato Vine. Tomato Vine is one of the ones that goes first and just immediately sell out. So it's kind of surprising that it didn't come back. That mini collection did not come back this year because I think it's like a really popular mini collection, seasonal mini collection, and I suspect that it'll probably make an appearance in the future. And then last but not least, I have Outdoor Fellow. And this is Tomato Vine from Outdoor Fellow. So Outdoor Fellow is a fairly recent company from New York City. One gentleman in particular who founded and develops it. They come in these boxes right here. And I think this is probably the 4th candle that I've burned from Outdoor Fellow. 4th or 5th? 4th or 5th? I don't know. I've actually burned quite a few. So, but this is one of the best sellers for Outdoor Fellow, and I think one of the original ones that he developed. So I've got this. This is an 8 ounce, and it is apricot and coconut wax blend, I believe. So those are the 3 that I've got. I would have loved Tomato Vine from Bath & Body Works. I also think that there's a good tomato candle from Apotheke, actually, although I don't know if it is currently on their website or came out this season, but I've not tried the Apotheke one. And I do know that Josh from Touch the Fire Twice did a compare and contrast on Tomato Vine candles. I think because he was reviewing this one, Outdoor Fellow. I watched it like maybe a year ago, and I haven't reviewed it, so I can't remember all of the candles that he compared and contrasted with it. I know the Apotheke one was one of them, but he obviously didn't have the Village one, and he did not know about the Anthropologie one. So this is my compare and contrast. Okay, so I'm not going to bury the lead for you guys. I wouldn't repurchase any of these. I'm sorry. I didn't think that any one of them performed so well that I really needed to buy it again. And they're not cheap. I would say Village Candle is the most reasonably priced of the 3, and we're going to get into that. The most reasonably priced is Village Candle, and to some extent, no, that's not true. I was going to say to some extent the most readily available, but not really. I mean, you've got to order it online, and to be honest, Outdoor Fellow might actually be a little bit more available. Oh gosh, I put soot on myself. A little bit more available because you can get these off of Amazon, whereas well, I guess you can get Village Candle off Amazon too. It's just shadier. Whereas Outdoor Fellow actually gives a link on their website if you prefer to buy it online on Amazon. So he ships the candle. I don't know if he ships the candles under the umbrella of Amazon, or he sends them to Amazon to sell, but it's not shady there. If you buy the candle off Amazon, you're absolutely getting a legit Outdoor Fellow candle. So there's little pros and cons to each one of them. I have to be honest, I think all 3 fragrances are very nice. In the end, I'm left wondering if I love my house smelling like a greenhouse, a tomato greenhouse. Maybe that's part of the problem. It's kind of like tea for me. It is like a really lovely fragrance that I love to smell, but for me, maybe a little too novelty. I don't know that I want my whole house smelling like it. Question mark. But I think it's much more likely that none of these really just performed well enough for me to want to spring for them again. So let's just talk about them a little bit. There are differences in terms of the fragrances themselves. So let's talk about the fragrances. We'll start with Village Candle right here. So Village Candle, this candle comes in at $17.95, and that's full price, full sticker price, and it is 14 ounces. It comes in 2 formats. This is a 3-wick, which is very Bath & Body Works style. It is, I believe, 100% paraffin, but look at that no soot. Look at that no soot. Yeah, it's a real nice paraffin blend. This one, for instance, is apricot and coconut, which all things being equal should not have a lot of soot, and it really does. Now, there are reasons for that that may not have to do necessarily with the wax formula itself and have a lot more to do with the heat of the smaller vessel and the way that the flame is closer to the diameter, etc., etc. So all those caveats apply. And for me, like I'm pretty soot tolerant, so it's not a deal breaker for me, but I know for some of you it is. And I know that you associate the sooting with the paraffin, but I'm really happy to say that this is the only one here that has paraffin in it, and it's 100% paraffin, and is far and away the cleanest of all three. And then this one, you know, had some soot in it here. I believe it's some sort of coconut and beeswax kind of blend, although it says blend, which means there may be some paraffin in it as well. But it's a very soft wax. It was an even softer wax than the Outdoor Fellow one was. So 100% paraffin, $17.95 for either a 3-wick stouter Bath and Body Works style 14 ounce, or they have a 14 ounce that's a little slimmer that has 2 wicks. It's like a medium tumbler, but again, $17.95. So it just depends. I went with a 3-wick just to make sure that I was getting the best opportunity for strength and throw, which is a really big thing for me. All things being equal, paraffin should have great strength and throw. But I've noticed that Village's candles are not, at least the ones that I've burned, are not as strong as I want them to be. They're definitely not like old school Yankee Candle strong. So I believe they've gone through some cost cutting measures in their company, and especially when they were acquired by Stonewall Kitchen. And I don't know what kind of care and attention is being invested in the line at this point. So the Village candles that I have bought, and certainly ones that I have bought at Marshall's or TJ Maxx, have been much lighter than I would like them to be, and that frankly a paraffin should be, which means that they're putting not as many oils in their candles as they should. Looking at you, Yankee Candle, with your 100% paraffin allegedly classic line that they're just kind of running into the ground, to be honest, because they're just not putting the investment in terms of their scent oils, concentration, etc. They obviously don't really care about that classic fleet, and there were whispers that if they had their way, they would have done away with it. You know, their conglomerate, you know, owner would have done away with it, like, very quickly after it was acquired, but couldn't because of the long-standing cultural, like, cult following for those apothecary jars. And for the paraffin, all right, close parentheses on that. We didn't really talk about the fragrance. So the fragrance, they have not only a blurb, but also notes as well. So the blurb on this Village Tomato Basil is: much like a trip to the farmer's market, this tomato candle is reminiscent of our favorite summer moments. Boasting notes of sun-ripened produce, fresh basil, and leafy greens, it will fill any space with the lively scent of an abundant vegetable garden, unquote. Kringle, it would be great if your blurb sounded as sleek and professional as that. That was really nice. All right, so the top notes here are garden tomato and fresh basil. Mid notes are lemon verbena and olive blossom. Base notes are green leaf and guaiac wood. So the dominant notes here, I would say this is a fairly savory tomato basil. And in fact, yes, it is the most savory of the three of them, which is to say that the sweetness content is a little bit lower than the other two, but it still has a sweetness. And the sweetness is probably coming not only from the green tomato flesh accord, but also from the basil accord, which is a very fresh note, and certainly from the lemon verbena. Yeah. So there is sugar in it, don't get it wrong. But it has a very strong green leaf, green vine kind of vibe to it. If not kind of a vague, like almost tomato pepperness. This one takes the cake in terms of green pepper, and I think it actually calls it out in the notes. But this one has that. I would love for the basil to come forward just a little bit more basil-y, if that makes sense. There's definitely like a very vegetal, fresh, almost herby kind of botanical element here. But I would love it even more, especially since it's called tomato basil, since it's in the name. I would have loved a little bit more of an overt basil note in it. Instead, you just kind of get like a really nice green tomato vine, green tomato leaf kind of smell to it. So it is very apropos that like the tomato is front and center. And by the tomato, it means not just the tomato organism itself, but also the leaves, the stems, etc., the vine. You get the whole organism. And then rounding it out, there's a little bit of a sweet brightness that could be seen as a little bit of citrusy, but it's not overt citrusy. This candle has a very overt citrus note to it. This one just kind of warms and kind of makes the green elements in it glow like yellow green, if that makes sense. And I think that's from the lemon verbena that really brightens it up. It's a beautiful fragrance, and arguably it's my favorite of the three. I tend to like things a little bit less sweet, and so for my money, I actually like this fragrance better than the other two, which are also quite good, but sweeter, yeah? This just seems very purely tomato vine for me, with just enough lemon verbena to kind of round it out a little bit. I'm not really sure what the olive blossom is giving, although if it is more, I mean, I didn't even know that there were like olive blossoms, but there are always blossoms wherever there's fruit. So I can't tell you what those olive blossoms are like, or whether or not they're very fragrant, or if this is just like a conceptual kind of note. If there is some amount of floral here though, it's just contributing to the sweetness, but again, in a very green, botanical kind of valence, yeah? I really like it. Of the three, it's probably the only one that I would consider repurchasing, especially for the price point, which is $17.95, and if you can get it on a discount, great. Unfortunately, if you have to pay for shipping, it kind of like neutralizes or negates the discount. But yeah, I would purchase this one again, I think. So in the open concept, it didn't do well. I mean, it was kind of like a 3. When I put it in the hurricane in the open concept, I got like a 4.5, maybe a 5 out of it. When I took it into the back bedroom, that's where I got like a 6, a 6.5, something like that, right? I'd like it to be a little bit louder in the back bedroom with the doors closed. But like 6 or 6.5 in that kind of a space is fine. It's not unscented. It was fine. That said, I don't know that it's, and maybe this is part of the reason why I wouldn't repurchase any of them. To me, it smells like a open concept kitchen dining room kind of fragrance. I don't know that I want my bedroom smelling like a tomato garden. You know what I mean? There's just certain fragrances that feel right in your master bedroom. Tomato garden was just not it for me. Yeah? And given the strength and throw of all of these, you're stuck putting it either in a bedroom or in a bathroom. Actually, I can tolerate it better in a bathroom. The bathroom actually feels okay to have a tomato garden in here. But, you know, it can go like a little bit like spa-like. I don't know if tomato vine goes spa, but for some reason, like, I don't know. You think about like mint or lemon verbena or something like that. Okay, like I could see that working in a bathroom. It's a little bit of a stretch. More than in a bedroom though. It doesn't give me bedroom vibes. It doesn't. And unfortunately, all of these were kind of back bedroom-ish. The other thing that I have to mention, and this is a really bad situation, and I didn't even bring it along with me, but if you watch my what was I burning in May rundown, which I'm going to post in 2 days, I will show it to you then. I had to pour this candle off 2 or 3 times. So the Village candles burn great about halfway, but the wicks that they use are so tiny. I mean, like they're smaller than Homeworks, and it's a paraffin formula. Paraffin is very hard. Like you really do need pretty robust wicks to stand up to paraffin. The wicks that Village is using right now are completely inadequate for probably any candle, but certainly for 100% paraffin. And like they dot out at the midway point. They're just like, we can't go further. We just can't. They choke out. They can't deal. So then you pour off wax and it gives you another half an inch, you know? Pour it off again, gives you another half an inch. The trick is you do need to pour it off before the wicks have been sitting for so long in the wax, just being drowned, that it like makes the wax murky and it starts like deteriorating or corrupting the scent, right? So when you see it happening, pour it off. So I have like this foil, and I'll show it to you in 2 days. I have this foil where I would just like pour off the wax, and I poured it off before it got sooty. So I could actually put all of that wax into a wax warmer if I wanted to, you know? And I should have done that actually, just to see how it melts. Maybe I'll do that tonight. I'll try to melt it in the wax warmer and see if I get any more strength and throw out of it. So that's another caveat about the Village candle is you've got to be willing to do that. Should you have to do that? 100% no. Absolutely not. Am I willing to do it because some of these fragrances from Village are great and I want to support their company, and I especially want to support a company that is still pouring in 100% paraffin. But no, you absolutely should not have to do that. Village, please get your wick situation under control. This is absurd. People are not going to buy your candles for that reason, and I get it. I'm one of those people that likes to light, set, forget. You really can't do it with the Village. So there's that as well. But otherwise, I kept on top of it. I burnt it all the way down, and look how clean that is. Look how clean it is. Yeah. All right, so that's a Village candle, tomato basil. Let's go to Anthropologie. So here's the Anthropologie. For a very long time, they sold these candles with only 1 wick, but last year they went to 2 wicks, which is so fantastic. Burned so much better, far less tunneling going all the way down. I really thought that was a game changer, and therefore was even more surprised when this year they didn't come back, because I really thought that was, it showed not only thought, attention, care, but also like a commitment, I think, to this little collection and to improving it. So I was kind of surprised to not see it this year. So tomato vine here, on the label, which is very nice. By the way, it's a beautiful ceramic here with a wood lid. And this is, actually I wrote it down because I looked on the website. It is a 14 ounce. So this is like a Bath and Body Works kind of vessel. They could probably do with 3 wicks, to be perfectly honest, but the 2 at least were better than the 1. They had a blurb on the website, and the blurb says, verdant notes of tomato vines and leaves blend with fresh clover, crushed rosemary, crisp green pepper, and garden arugula, unquote. They said, like I said, that it was a beeswax blend on the website, but here it says that it's a coconut blend. Could be one or the other. Could have paraffin in it, but like I said, the wax was very, very, very soft and kind of like pockmarked, you know, the way that the soy usually is. So I think it's pretty heavily plant-based wax. The top notes here are tomato leaf, the mid notes are clover and the base notes are green pepper. And that sounds about right to me. So clover doesn't have like a really fragrant like vibe. It's not especially going to compete with like a green pepper kind of fragrance for sure. But it does lend like a green leaf, grassy kind of note, I think. And that's absolutely the case. This does have a very strong like green grass note and a very strong green pepper note. And then it has the tomato. So actually, there is at least as much green grass and green pepper here as there is tomato. And actually, this just says tomato leaf. It doesn't even say tomato flesh. And that also seems right. It is like actually a very, very green candle. It's a green vine. It's a green vine and a green leaf, but it's like a tomato green vine and a tomato green leaf. And if you've ever planted or encountered tomato plants in your nursery or, you know, at Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever else it is, and if you've ever had the opportunity to like pluck a tomato or even a cherry tomato, and you know how there's that little stem that kind of goes down into the fruit and you smell it, or you can kind of break the vine and smell it. The vine does smell like tomato, you know? It's not just like a generic green vine, it's like a tomato green vine, yeah? So that's what this is. It's a very strong tomato green vine along with some grassiness and green pepper, yeah. I really like it a lot, and I like green. There is sweetness, and I'm not sure where the sweetness is coming from. It almost smells a little bit not botanical. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but it almost smells like a sandalwood or something. I mean, it blends perfectly. It still feels like a green botanical / organic kind of candle, but there is something sweet. It could be sandalwood or it could be like an amber or something. Like I said, does not take it into a personal care space or a perfume space. It's just something. And this one did have guaiac wood. This Village candle had guaiac wood on the bottom, which I didn't really notice, but oh man, that's good. Yeah. So there could be something like that here. It's contributing a little bit of soapiness, which is why I kind of went to like, I don't really know what it is, but there is like a weird soapy note here. And I have to say that upon it being burned, the soapiness comes out even more and it kind of overwhelms the fragrance, which made it a good bathroom candle because it was like a soapy green botanical with tomato-like overtones. I don't know what that soap note is. I really don't. But like I said, came out even more. You know, and then it kind of gave off this like, although it's not Stonewall Home, it was like kind of a, you know how Stonewall Home has that entire line of like kitchen hand soaps and dish soaps and whatnot. It kind of went in that direction, which for me undermine the fragrance, the authenticity, the botanical aspect of the fragrance. I'm not going to lie to you. The biggest problem with this candle is that the strength and throw was so bad. You could not smell it in the open concept. Even in the back bedroom, I was kind of getting it to come in at like a 4.5 or a 5. So even less than this one. In the bathroom, it definitely, the guest bathroom, it came into its own at a strong 6 or 6.5, but that was in the guest bathroom. And it did work beautifully in the guest bathroom. And especially with that kind of soapy, fresh note to it, it felt very at home in the guest bathroom. So it was a lovely guest bathroom candle. There is no question. I think that the presentation is fantastic. And if you've ever been to Anthropologie, You know what I mean when I say this is a great like fancy lady guest bathroom candle to be burned in the months of like March through May. Yeah? I mean, you would be a fancy lady who was seasonal, who was kind of giving off this like, oh shucks, we're just a country farmhouse, you know, but like a multi-million dollar one. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think this is kind of a fancy lady bathroom scent. Is it worth it though? To buy. Oh, the price was like somewhat reasonable. So you would think at Anthropologie this would be extraordinarily expensive, but it's come in at like 20, I think 28 bucks. 28 bucks the last few years, and I think it was up from like 24. So 28 bucks is not bad when you consider that many Bath and Body Works candles, if they've got some fancy lid on them, will go for like $32.95. It's 14 ounces, just like a Bath and Body Works candle. It looks premium, it looks hipster, and you bought it at a very premium and hipster store, Anthropologie. It even says Anthropologie. So if you want to kind of like brand boast there, you know what I mean? 28 bucks is actually very reasonable for this kind of a candle, and usually Anthropologie does run some kind of sales. I think I got this for 20 or 30% off, so it made it even more reasonable at the time. So sales are not unheard of at Anthropologie, especially on their candles. You just need to judge whether or not that's kind of, if you've got a fancy lady guest bathroom, you know what I mean? And this is kind of like hipster country vibe, but also premium and sophisticated, works for you, then I think it's one to check out. I really do. But because especially of that soapy kind of after smell on it, and like I said, when it was burned, it kind of almost overwhelmed the other botanical notes. It got very weak. The botanical aspect got very weak, which in all fairness, very authentic botanical notes are very hard to amplify. And so on paper, all of these should be very difficult to amplify. And in that sense, we have to kind of grade them on a strength throw curve. And on that curve, they all did decently. Yeah? But definitely this was the one of the bunch that like the fragrance it wasn't consistently strong, whereas these two kept their integrity as tomato candles the entire time that they were burned. This one went a little soapy, but like I said, very pleasant and very appropriate if you're gonna burn it in a guest bathroom, which is where I would suggest that you burn that one. Last but not least, we have tomato vine. It's just kind of this label here. I've talked about the labels on the Outdoor Fellow candles. I think they're kind of cheap. I really think they need to revisit the labeling of their candles, especially because no costs are wasted, I think, in their boxes. These are, they're kind of like rugged corrugated boxes, but it fits their like kind of more rugged, environmental friendly kind of vibe. Like you would kind of expect these to be sold at, what's the flanker store now to Dick's Sporting Goods? It's like it's not Public Grounds, but it's like Public something or other. You know, like their outdoor dimension of the store. It'll come to me. You know what it is though. Anyway, I feel like this could and should be sold there. The person who, and I can't remember your name, and I'm so sorry that I have forgotten your name. For some weird reason, I feel like your name is Patrick, but I could be wrong about that. I'm terrible with names, so it may in fact not be Patrick. But if your name is Patrick, contact those people at that public grounds or whatever else it is, that place. It would be like, there are all these like cool hipsterish kind of brands at that place with all the outdoor camping stuff. I just feel like this would be a major coup if you got those candles in that place. Whatever. Anyway, no, I really think that these boxes are certainly like not inexpensive. They come with this like little coaster here that tells you about what to do with your candles and what not to do, etc. And it kind of lays on top of the candle as it's boxed, not only to kind of provide a little bit of insulation, but also to like keep it nice and tight and give you some information, etc. So I really think that costs are not being spared on other levels, which is what makes the cheapness of the label kind of a little bit of a misstep. but God bless. And there's no lid as well. But I have said this in an earlier video. I've actually said it several times. Outdoor Fellow is one of the very few luxury-ish candle companies that I will buy candles from and will burn from, because I like the way that these burn. I think they burn consistently. I think that they burn I know there's some sooting up in here. This happens a lot sometimes toward the bottom of the candle when the candle heats up a lot, but for the most part, it seems to burn very clean. It's the apricot and it's the coconut. And actually coconut should hold fragrance pretty well, I think. Am I mixing that up with another one that I think coconut holds it really well. Yeah. I've been impressed with the strength and throw on these Outdoor Fellow candles. They really oftentimes will best multiple wick candles in terms of their strength and throw. Not so much this one, but many of the other ones that I've burned of theirs have consistently been stronger than even some of my Bath & Body Works candles. And if you remember, my non-negotiable for luxury candles is number one, that they burn consistently and well. I don't want to have to try to put wax around it. I don't want it to massively tunnel, etc., etc. Let alone burning, coming out, relighting it, like all this nonsense. No. I don't spend $50 on an 8-ounce candle for it to do that, right? It must burn reliably, okay? It doesn't have to burn like a dream, but it has to burn reliably. And number two, it has to be a fragrance I can't get somewhere else. It's something that's really unique and innovative, not something that I think, oh, Bath & Body Works could do this. Or in fact, Bath & Body Works has done a version of this. No. Again, I'm not gonna pay $60 for a candle that I can get from Bath & Body Works in a much larger vessel that performs better. See what I mean? I do not have a non-negotiable about strength and throw. I am willing to subtract that. Now, with Outdoor Fellow, I've been impressed with strength and throw, so it's definitely a bonus for me. I do not expect the same strength and throw from a luxury candle. And I know that probably surprises a lot of you, because if you're spending that much money on a candle, why would it not have strength and throw? Most of the luxury candles are much smaller. They tend to be in the 8-ounce category. And they often have one wick, very limited diameter. They're kind of like your craft cocktail, your craft beer, etc., that is done in very small batches. Power and strength is not usually the forte there. And I am willing to adjust my expectations on an 8-ounce one-wick candle. I am. And I am also willing to adjust my expectations if the burn quality is reliable and the fragrance is beyond premium smelling. Totally fine. La Montagne is one of the other luxury candle companies that I would repurchase for similar reasons. La Montagne, from what I can tell, may not have quite the strength and throw that Outdoor Fellow has, but do burn extremely reliably and fairly clean, and also have incredibly unique fragrances. So there you go. All right, close parentheses on that. Tomato Vine is, as I said, one of Outdoor Fellow's most original, and by original, I mean like it was one of their earlier fragrances, and in fact, one of their most purchased. It might be their best seller. So these candles, by the way, they're 8 ounces and they go for $34, which for me is a little on the pricey side. That said, you get a nest candle now, an 8-ounce nest candle for like $48, you know? So in the continuum of luxury candles, it's actually on the cheaper side. But I understand, why would I spend $34 on an 8-ounce candle, right? For many people, that's gonna push it into the luxury price point. For me personally, because it's only got one wick, it actually burns longer than many multi-wick candles. It burns clean with the apricot and the coconut. It has an amazing like premium fragrance. And it also has, I just completely lost my train of thought. It's like a senior moment. What was I saying? I can't even remember. this one, oh, I was just gonna say with this one has good strength and throw. I think that was what I was gonna say. I'm like, wait, that's all my things. These Outdoor Fellow ones generally can sometimes outperform the multi-wick ones in terms of strength and throw. So then when you look at it that way, it actually makes the $34 more cost effective, cost reasonable. I don't know what all right, I'm losing it. We need to wrap this video up. $34. The blurb for Tomato Vine is, quote, inspired by a backyard garden, this candle smells like ripe tomato plants with added notes of basil and lemon zest to create a beautiful green herby scent, unquote. Top notes, these are extensive, gird your loins. Top notes, lemon zest, satsuma orange, sparkling pineapple. Mid notes, basil leaf, juicy ripe tomato, galbanum. Base notes, lily leaf, star jasmine, tomato vine accord. Okay? This candle is botanical, but it is fruity. It's got a really overt fruity finish. And that fruity finish is giving it a sweetness. It's more sweet than all the other two. That said, it's not synthetic, it's not artificial, and I actually think that there are many people who will appreciate and prefer this candle over the other two because of that fruity note. So as you can see from the notes, you've got lemon, which several of them have lemon, orange, and pineapple up in your top notes, all of those. And then you've got some floral, and you've got some basil, and you've got some tomato, etc. This has a very strong tomato vine note to it. And then between the tomato vine and the greenness, I don't know that I'm getting anything herbal here. So less herbal than, yeah, this one is more herbal. This one also has almost a black pepper pop to it. It's definitely the most savory of them and the most like grounded, most herbal, more basey, yeah? This one is way up in here, and it's because of the pineapple and the orange. So you've got a very strong, and by strong, I mean at least 40 to 50% of this candle is like green tomato vine, basically, which is common for all three of them. And then it has tomato flesh, and the tomato flesh is sweeter, yeah? And it like transforms, and it's got this continuum of the tomato flesh right into all of those fruity notes, which is like the tomato, the lemon, the lemon, the orange, and then the pineapple, which is like the real citrusy kind of acidic pop at the top. And pineapple is the sweetest of all of them. And I don't know if you would necessarily pick out the pineapple and be like, oh, there's pineapple in this candle. So it's not so overt that like the pineapple like overwhelms the candle or takes it in a completely different direction. But there is a very sweet, like citrus acidity kind of at the top of the candle that you would at least associate with an orange, for instance. But in a really beautiful way, does not take away from the tomato vine and all of that different thing. Because really the tomato part of it, if you include not only the green vine elements, but also the tomato flesh, it's like 60% of your candle. It's just that those really bright, authentic citrusy notes are just loud and they're up in that high range. So even though they're a minority of the candle, they are punching louder, I think, than the other elements, which, as we've said before, are difficult to amplify. Upon it being burned, it smelled, for the most part, exactly the way that it smells on cold, which is to say that it is a strong tomato vine presence with a fruity, acidic kind of overtone to it. And the fruity and acidic does give it a much sweeter kind of cast in terms of the way that it comes across. For me personally, I prefer especially this Village. For me, the Village is exactly the way that I want my tomato candle to smell. It keeps it in the vegetable garden and has just enough sweetness to make it palatable. But for me, I prefer just the greater vegetalness and the greenness about it and the herbalness about it. I prefer that, but I do think that it absolutely needs to be burned in like an open concept kitchen dining room kind of space for it to really seem appropriate. This one here is definitely a candle that would be happy in any area of your house because of kind of that conceptual fruity vibe to it. That said, would probably be the best still in a kitchen and a dining room or in a living area kind of space. You can put this in your bathroom, you can put it in your master bedroom, but I think it kind of is still a little bit odd. I think all of them are a little odd. And then, you know, I do want to flag for you that this particular Anthropologie, because it has a soapiness to it, seems to go especially well in a bathroom, actually. So those are the three. Oh, I didn't say Strength and Throw on Outdoor Fellow. Outdoor Fellow was the strongest of the three, but really only marginally. So this one here in the open concept was like a 5, I think, a 5. But that was before I put it in the Hurricane. I put it in the Hurricane, and then I got like a 7 out of it, maybe a 7, something like that. Let me make sure that that is true. Oh, no, actually I'm not. Never mind. That is incorrect. It was a 5 to a 5.5 in the Hurricane. So I could not get it to do, it did not do well in the open concept unless it was in a Hurricane. If it was in the Hurricane, it was a 5.5. But that was better than like the Anthro one, which I think was only like, no, the Village one. The Anthro one, I couldn't do it at all in the open concept. The Village one in the Hurricane was like a 4, whereas this one in the Hurricane was a 5.5, which is impressive given that it's a 1 wick and this one was a 2 wick. That's probably where I'm thinking that it did like a whole lot better. So if you grade this on the curve of it being a single wick 8 ounce, it actually performed very decently, but and it outperformed the multiple wick. But all those things being said, it still was only 5.5 in an open concept in a Hurricane. In the back bedroom, it got up to like a 7. So it was really nice in the back bedroom. 7 is good. Anything 7 and above in the enclosed master bedroom is very decent. It's very decent. And I did not need to bring it up into the guest bathroom. And I did, but it was like only for the last couple burns when I was just trying to like get it out, you know? And I had other things that I wanted to try in the back bedroom. So it would do very well in the guest bathroom, and it might actually be a little bit overwhelming. Again, impressive given that it's a 1 wick, but I've burned other candles by Outdoor Fellow that performed even better than that. And so in that sense, it was all right. It was all right. And since I prefer the tomato scent of the Village candle, I don't know that I would be tempted to buy another one of these from Outdoor Fellow. I would be tempted to buy other things from Outdoor Fellow, and this is probably as good a time as any to remind you of how amazing the Maui candle is from Outdoor Fellow. Oh my gosh, I fantasize about that Maui candle. I watch it to see if it'll go on sale. It was a limited edition kind of like beachy destinations collection that they did. And at one point they were kind of clearancing them off and I thought they were gonna go away, but they're still there like on the Amazon website. And like, I look all the time to see if Maui is discounted because I love Maui. Maui is a very unique candle because Maui is pineapple and like spruce. And it's so good. It's like the only pineapple candle that I've smelled that is just beyond amazing and so unique, and it is everything. I also liked Fire Island too. Fire Island and Maui have been my 2 favorites so far from Outdoor Fellow. And so knowing that I love those so much, if I was gonna pay for another Outdoor Fellow candle, it wouldn't be Tomato Vine, But maybe that's partly because I'm discovering that, like, I don't know that I want my house smelling like a tomato vine. So that could be part of it too. All right, we've been very long-winded. I apologize for that. But for all of you who are interested in these kinds of candles, I wanted to give you a good sense of at least how these three did. I don't know how that Apothecary one lines up with these three. But it is really interesting how similar these three are and yet how different at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna link them all down below. As I said, the Anthropologie one did not come out this season. And when it does come out, it only comes out for a very limited, like early spring kind of moment. And it didn't even come out this year, which was really odd. And a lot of the cult following fans were really, really upset about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it'll be back next year. But the other two are readily available right now, the Village Candle and the Outdoor Fellow. Thank you for joining me, and join me again in 2 days for what we burned this month in May. I'll catch you in the next one.